Can anyone catch them, do you think?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, unbelievable. We didn't expect that.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Away Gooners podcast. We are meeting after the emphatic 10-0 victory against Norwich City. with the gameplay of prime
so
Barcelona.
self-deprecating we are. we love being self-deprecating.
But anyways, welcome back, Arun and Bob.
Hello.
So before we start, I keep missing this point to mention that to our subscribers or to viewers to like, subscribe, and share the content. I would like to, thank that and take this moment to do that, like to the viewers. Basically, this is actually awkward to say like, share, and subscribe.
But we're bad at selling.
Anyways, but let's jump straight into the discussion, guys. So I know I started in a self-depreciating mode, but I am very happy with the result. To see a win and to see a goal, no matter how the goal came about, no matter how we played, no matter whatever, right? And I felt that the whole fan base kind of let out a sigh of relief after this game, that we have somehow stopped the slide, even though the slide has been just 3 games. So what are your thoughts on, like, just a quick reaction to the game, Arun?
Happiness. Nothing else. Like I was very happy that we actually managed to win. It was frustrating at times to watch, like, us pressing but not having any end product. But outside of the context of the game, the fact that we were actually scored our first goal in our 4th game, and maybe, I don't know, like I might be thinking too much ahead of myself. I don't want to say things like our top 6 challenge has started or top 4, nothing at all. But at least we have taken the first step in the right direction, in my opinion. Like it is not only about the win, but also the way in which we played in certain parts of the game, if not the entire game, was very encouraging. And that's one of the reasons which makes me think like this is probably like we're not going to win the league. We're not going to maybe like not even finish top 4, but we'll finish at a respectable place that our fans probably did not think that we'll finish after the first 3 losses. It sort of shows that we can beat low block teams, and we can we can do things against these teams and still grind out a result. It doesn't matter if we win ugly or beautiful. We grind out a result, and that's what good teams do.
So that is a very good point to make. Grinding out the result. Wenger used to say that stop the rut with whatever you can. Doesn't matter if it's a ugly result, whether it's a good result, whether we play beautiful football. But the most important thing before that, Bob, is that Spurs lost against Vieira's team, and he came out and said, "I will never lose. I have never lost against Spurs."
So during his playing career, he just lost once to Spurs and never again. His managerial impact has been even better, you have to say. That was actually the icing on the cake for this weekend. We have to say, as an Arsenal fan, Spurs felt as if like they were going to be invincible and all those sort of things. All the talk in the bin.
there's always Spurs to entertain us, to make us happy. Even last season when we were so bad, we finished 1 point behind Spurs.
Who are supposed to be like title contenders by November, December.
It could always bring some joy to us.
Another funny thing is, I don't know if you guys noticed. I mean, I didn't notice it during the game. It was only after I was reading the post-match. It seems the Palace fans were singing Patrick Vieira, he's won more than you guys to this person. That for me was gold. Patrick Vieira is not even one of their former players. He's one of Arsenal's former players, another London club, and they're actually taking the piss out of Tottenham.
And actually, in Arsenal game too, our fans were singing Patrick Vieira's name during the game. So
yeah, they did. Yeah,
we love giving back to them. But Bob, your reaction to the game, to the win, actually.
Yeah, I think as Arun said, it's just a 50-kilo weight off our shoulders. It feels like that. This might just be one step towards a larger piece of things that we need to go towards. But still, yet it makes a significant difference in terms of the mindset, and then the way that we are going to look forward. Bear in mind, having lost the first 3 games of a season, none of the teams so far in the Premier League have managed to finish in the top 4. The highest that one has finished after losing the first 3 games was Aston Villa in 1997-98, I think. But yeah, I think if we were, considering where we are at the moment, even if we were to finish as high up as that, it would be still good.
Yeah, for sure.
But I wanted to actually rejoice one more thing with the win yesterday, that we are officially out of the relegation battle for now.
Yeah, it will take some time before a couple of games.
But Burnley have to play today, right?
I think Leeds and Burnley, both of them have to play.
Yeah.
So let's not get into that part. But it was a very surprise starting lineup, Bob, to be selected. All of us were thinking. Formation wise, we had our differences, but all of us were thinking similar players. But then the lineup had a lot of surprises, especially with Ramsdale starting, and then over Leno, and then having Maitland-Niles in the midfield. Those two were complete surprises to what we were expecting. Most of everything else kind of fell into the place, and Tomi we didn't expect, because we thought he might not get it nod ahead. But what are your thoughts about Ramsdale over Leno? That seems to be a bit of a contention.
Yeah, I think one of you guys mentioned during our last recording, isn't it, that Ramsdale was telling his mates that he will be getting a start. I don't know from where you read or what was the authenticity of that, but it seems like there's been things going around behind the scenes that he was making a positive impact and then would be given a chance to shine. And having given that, I thought in the little that he was able to showcase himself, he was more assuring, I would say. I'm not saying that Leno was shaky and all. One game is too much to us to judge. But Ramsdale starting means that it shows that the manager is willing to chop and change anyone who's not like at the top of what he is thinking or who he thinks to be, played up, which is good. It makes them, both of them, vulnerable, and they'll mean that they'll have to put more efforts in the training for them to actually vote for their place, which is really good. The most surprising thing for me, even more than Ramsdale, is the fact that Maitland-Niles is starting. I don't know, with his transfer decisions and all those sort of things, maybe he had made up his. He had backroom discussions with Arteta, and potentially out of that, Arteta would have promised him more chances, especially in the coveted midfield role that he's been craving for. And you could also argue that Partey was coming back of an lengthy, or not so lengthy, but still injury layoff, which means that he can't be quite given a start and then expect him to play for 90 minutes. So it made sense for Arteta to try with Maitland-Niles, and then potentially once as the game move on, he chose to replace him with Partey.
For me, Maitland-Niles has given us all a very valuable management lesson, if I can add it. If you want a promotion, or if you really want to go all out for what you're looking for, just put a disgruntled Instagram message, and you'll get all that you need at that point. Because if you think about it, I understand that there was a requirement, need, and party and all that, but Amen playing in center midfield is probably the last thing all of us were thinking about, right? So he is playing in a prepared position, which looks like he is going to continue playing there for the near future because of the absence of Xhaka and Elneny. In my mind, I think he's slowly likely to become the next Elneny. with the way he's doing, like sort of the man who shores up things, which I don't know, maybe. Noticed two things yesterday, which actually worried me with him playing a center midfielder. Like I've spoken about him being like, very, very casual on the ball and like giving away stray passes. We've spoken about that a lot. But what I found yesterday was he was, when he played as wing back, one of the most important qualities that he had was the fact that he would stick to the man and it was very difficult to take the ball off. Whereas when he did start in midfield, I was surprised the number of times that he was dispossessed. He was not able to hold on to the ball for a long time at all, and which for me as a center midfielder, you control the most important part of the pitch. You're the one who decides the transitions as well as like prevents the attacks on the other side, right? When you're losing the ball, even if you give like wonderful through passes like he did, even if you're like, your dribbles are good and all that, you lose the ball in midfield. That's a sin. That's a huge sin. You're letting your entire team down. You lose the ball as a forward, the counter attack takes much longer. Midfield, you're giving it very easy option. So there, it was. I wouldn't say disappointing, but it was a bit frustrating for me to see that. Like, this guy wants to play in center midfield, but with doing all this, the number of things that he actually has to improve on to become a good center midfielder, those factors are just continuously increasing. There doesn't seem to be any holes that are being filled for him to become a good center midfielder. The number of holes just seems to be increasing, which is worrying, and that's why I rate him like as probably the last person in the midfield if he does choose to stay. Another thing that I noticed was it could also be because of the fact that like Sambi and AMN were playing together for the first time. When they both were in midfield, there was a lot of confusion between the two of them as to who needs to go forward and who needs to stay back. Many situations, even though we had a lot of good press, it all failed because of the fact that when it was transitioning to the midfield and the balls we were getting, there was a lot more gaps than there should have been because the player was not in the right position. Sambi, yeah, sure, he's on the ball is fantastic. Off the ball, his movement and his thinking abilities to know which position he has to be in, that has to improve. He's just playing for the first time.
There was an interesting discussion being made at the bar that I was watching the game. But I know this is going to frustrate you both, but I would still throw that out there. They mentioned that if we are going to give AMN a midfield role, we could have held on to Willock. And I mean, that was the point that was made. But again, there was a market for Willock. There was not a market for AMN. That's how I see
Very
it.
True.
As,
Very true. Yeah.
We blew the 15 million that Wolves offered last year, and no one came after that.
Yeah.
Not even the West Brom team that he played. I mean, he didn't want to go into a championship team anyway. But I don't think anyone came forward after that with an offer. So we just have to see what's in front of us.
Yeah. And the few players whom the fans wanted gone but are still in the team are also there because of the same reason that it was obvious, like we were not able to find buyers for them, so we were forced to keep them.
Yeah, but regarding Sambi though, I would kind of disagree with you, Arun, because I felt that Sambi in second half before the substitutions happened was really good. Even in the first
he was definitely good. I'm not saying anything about talk about Sambi. Yeah.
No, I'm just saying like he kind of grew into the game, which is expected because he has missed out on a couple of games, and then he's getting back to the team, and the team is kind of getting back themselves, like forming themselves. So he kind of grew into the game, and I really liked a lot of things that I saw about Sambi more than AMN in midfield. Anyways, to talk about the other debutant in the game, Bob, what are your thoughts on Tomiyasu? I mean, it's his first game. There is a lot of goodwill about him. The fans were chanting. He showed a lot of promise for me. But what are your thoughts about having Tomiyasu in the team?
See, one game is too early to judge for anything.
Yeah, but
you just have to, based on, I mean, if you ask me just the reactions of what I saw him, he was electrifying, as I thought, especially in the first 30 minutes. Like he was almost everywhere, he was forward pressing, he was tracking back, that's the least that we would, or anyone would actually expect from a right back, which we've been missing for so long. There's been a lot of sluggishness, which we have spoken about in the past. especially on the right-hand side, with Tierney firing on the other side. We've been missing this sort of a character person, to be there. And, it's really good that we are seeing one of those, especially against, in our home ground as his debut, where the fans were actually chanting for his name. You couldn't have asked for more.
He's very good in the air, which I mean, the YouTube compilation and everything showed that, but still to see that on pitch when that was interesting. So Arun, what are your thoughts on Tomiyasu? Like a quick.
I loved watching his debut, but like Bob's, but I don't know if you, but Bob said before we started the podcast, we were all ranting and raving about Ceballos after his first performance as well. So I would definitely like to see him go up against tougher opposition and see what he can do. But as for the debut, yeah, he was really good, very well assured on the ball and good movement of the ball. And the most important thing, for someone of his height, he has and his build, he has great recovery pace.
Yeah.
When the attacker, when he lost the ball and the attacker was going front, the speed at which he came back was very impressive. Again, not saying that he's at the top right back level right away, but we seem to have gotten a good deal with this one, and we didn't actually spend a premium on this one. So if molded well, this guy is going to be a really good prospect for the future. But then what do I know? Anything that I've said has always gone wrong so far. So I think I'll just keep my mouth shut on this one. I won't make any predictions.
No, you were right about Xhaka.
That's easy. Anyone can be right about Xhaka, isn't it?
But the interesting thing was he took a shot at the edge of the box, an awkward shot. But it was really good to see. And I don't know if you guys have seen this anime, like a Japanese anime when we were growing up. No, not that one. There was a football one called Captain Tsubasa.
Captain Tsubasa.
It kind of felt like that for me when I watched it.
When the credits roll, that's the last thing that plays with Tsubasa hitting the goal. Kids like these days would never know how fun watching Captain Tsubasa was.
But yeah, we could if that was the case. I mean, that felt like that. That felt like a moment. If he would have scored that would have been something else, I guess. But yeah, I was very impressed, and a lot of people that I spoke to was very impressed with Tomiyasu's debut, and not just in the attacking front or he didn't he didn't link up that well with Pepe, but his link up with Odegaard and the midfield was really good. Probably that's something that he would get better during the days. So talking about Tomiyasu though, I mean, let's we'll lead a discrimination. Disclaimer here, right? My tongue's slowly. So disclaimer is that we are not anti-Asian or we are not racist trying to put Tomiyasu as Captain Tsubasa. I just felt that it was natural.
It was just because of that kick at the end.
Yeah. They do all those crazy things in that show. So it felt natural to put that there. But anyways, talking about the defense though, we had a new defense partnership, which I hope that it's going to be the future for Arsenal, right? To have Gabriel and White as a partnership. And it kind of felt assuring to see that partnership. I was never in doubt about maybe one of the moments when what's his name, the Max Aarons guy took a shot, and Pukki kind of went through. Those two are the moments that stand out for me. Rest of the times there was nothing to even remember that Norwich was very threatening. So that's a very high praise for an Arsenal defense right there. So Bob, what are your thoughts on White-Gabriel partnership?
I think it was the most popular thing which everybody was actually looking out for through the summer, and finally, we were able to witness them both together. It's again very early signs, but based on what we looked at with the Norwich game, it looked more assuring. The little that I found out that in the last Premier League games that Gabriel has started, Arsenal have won all of them, and they have gone on to concede just 2 goals in those last 6 games. So if that is a barometer, that's actually a good thing to look at. Gabriel is sort of very assuring onto the left, and then White onto the right, and they complement each other. So it's just hoping for better things to come. They were very much assured on the ball, and then they were equally distributing well as well on either of those flanks that they were playing. So it's good to watch, and much for a change that we had some sort of assurance at the back makes it even better.
Talking about distribution, Arun, White's ball over the top to, I think, Tierney or Aubameyang. There were 2 or 3 balls like that. Kind of felt like it was taken right out of David Lewis playbook. Right?
Yeah, that's a reason why we spent 50 million on him. I mean, like Bob said, that centre back pairing that we got has it's just started. It's a very good start for them. When you're playing your first game with a new centre back, you don't want to start on a losing note. That's not going to help your confidence in any way. So the fact that we kept a clean sheet and won the game would definitely do wonders to the confidence of these two who are playing with each other. The thing I like about this pairing is the fact that it's sort of not just despairing the entire backline. It makes it seem like it's sort of compensating for each other's deficiencies and positions. Like if you really think about it, when you talk about the centre back pairing, you have both White and Gabriel, and they possess both very different qualities. White is more assured on the ball. He's like he knows his way around. Like his positioning is good. Gabriel, on the other hand, loves to go for the challenges. He's physical. He's like tough on the air. So if Gabriel is going for a high ball, then White would be there for the second ball. That's the good sort of reassuring that we need. And even if you think about the other parts, if you think about Gabriel and Katie on the left in their positioning, it's again a sort of a similar pairing. Gabriel goes for the tackles. Similarly, this side you have Tomi going for the tackles, going high balls, and then White again complementing him. So for me, this looks very promising. Well, however, how they perform on pitch is a completely different thing. We've always tend to see things that look great on paper falter miserably on the pitch. That is not something that is new for us. Not that I want these guys to fail, but I would definitely love to see this partnership with the back four flourish. Another important thing is these guys are very young.
Yeah.
Very young, and they have not, apart from Katie, none of them has actually played for a team that maybe has won at a very, very top level. Even Katie, he's played only in the Scottish League. So it's if you discount that, the fact that they're young means that they're very moldable. They can actually be taught new things. It's not like they're an old dog refusing to learn new tricks. These guys can be molded and be able to perform in the way in which the manager wants, which would be fluidity during the games, changes in the way in which we line up on and off the ball. And the fact that it can actually be effective will work in our favor. So I loved what I saw of all 4 of our defenders along with Ramsdale, and I hope this continues. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself by saying this is good, the better partnership than Varane, Maguire or something.
No. We are not talking in that terms. Yeah. But when I'm thinking about the game, though, I remember a moment where Ramsdale. Ramsdale kind of took the ball and did a dummy and passed it.
Yeah, I loved it. I think everybody would have sort of had a heart attack at that moment. Yeah. But for me, the confidence with which he waited till the last moment to actually move, for me, that was I went whoa, that's amazing. That was my reaction. For me, it was no heart attack, no. It seemed as soon as he got the ball, he knew what he wanted to do. Though if it had failed, it would be a completely different thing. He would have looked like an ass clown. But the fun part is that it worked, and it worked really well. It didn't seem like he was nervous while doing that. But for me, the funny part was Ben White's dummy towards the end, in a position where a dummy was the last thing that you were supposed to do. He did the dummy and the ball went through. And that was when I had my heart in my mouth. I was like, dude, what are you doing?
I have I was not that confident when even Ramsdale did it. Maybe it's the PTSD in me that every time something like that happens, I'm going oh my God.
We've been used to seeing Leno there, right?
Yes.
I'm not saying Leno is never again, but then I think Leno has more chances of that failing through.
Yeah.
Then
because I got a Alex Runarsson vibe there when that was happening. I was going oh my God, Alex Runarsson again.
No, Leno has a different set of qualities, and I think Ramsdale with what he possessed. That's why I said I was confident, because usually when you see Leno with the ball at his feet, he's never that confident. Like that, we've discussed this before. The fact that his distribution has gotten bad, like his balls are going out and all that. Ramsdale is fantastic in those aspects, you know. So that's why like it was fun seeing him do all those things and not get like his ass handed to him, if I could say that.
But again, all this with the caveat that this is Norwich. We are not trying to oversell this. This is just what
no,
we are
yeah,
seeing.
for sure. Yeah.
This is just
like,
Norwich.
It's like a guy who's like stranded in the desert for 10 days, has not seen anything, and suddenly you give him like a pool of water. That's what happens. It's contextual.
Bob, go ahead.
Now, I was just going to say, since David Seaman is the only other English goalkeeper to play for us, Seaman, I think, last played for us in May 2003. I think it's quite a long while, considering that.
We are old people, Bob.
No. I mean, having been a successful club in England and not having an English goalkeeper playing for us in the Premier League. That was quite revealing. Never really expected that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so talking about the game though, so Bob, we started with a 4-2-3-1. I'm not going to discuss all this like in possession, out of possession. No, nothing. Right? Just flat out. We started with 4-2-3-1, and then when the substitutions were made, we went to kind of a 4-3-3. And then when we were attacking at the end, it was 4-1-4-1. Sort of,
yeah.
Right.
So is that what? And if you look at Arsenal or Arteta's Arsenal, we had the 4-3-3 formation tried out in a City game before this. I mean, we know what happened there. But with Xhaka as the central, the anchor in the midfield. And we tried one more time, I think, against Aston Villa. Even at that time, we had Xhaka at the base of the midfield. Having Partey at the base of the midfield makes this look like a good option to have.
Proper structure, right?
Yeah. So does this mean that Arteta is looking for this 4-3-3? Even I think in press conference he has done that, right? He has said that he wants something like that.
So as you said, 4-3-3 is his preferred formation, and if at all he could actually set up the team that way, then that's what he says would be more effective. And we could as well we see that with all the attacking runs that we were doing in the first half of the game resulted in no goals, and only after that we changed shape and the formation with the key personnel of Smith Rowe and with Partey. That's when we were able to unlock the defense, and then we were able to create an opportunity at the time. So it did mean that they are going in, or the manager has some vision. We've spoken about that quite a lot of times in the past, where Arteta's Arsenal doesn't have a clear pattern. For once, we were able to see that pattern against Norwich, and I just hope that he's got similar tactics in mind, similar setups in mind when he faces every bit of an opposition, because you can't actually keep going with the same thing and then get yourself shot off. You need to adapt to the opposition, and then you need to play a strength who would be more suited to what sort of a game, and then you need to put in that personnel accordingly.
Mm-hmm. Arun, so talking about the midfield or the formation in general, right? Odegaard has been really good. His pressing was really good.
Fantastic pressing. Oh my God.
He was very energetic. He was finding players. He was there, available for everything. He was really good. But I felt that maybe it's my bias with I like ESR type of players like Rosicky, ESR, that kind of a players who push forward, right? But when ESR came out, that's when kind of our attack sparked. At least that's what I felt that way. So with both of them in the 4-3-3 is the only formation where I feel both of them could play together with other attacking options like Pepe or Saka and Aubameyang playing through. So I'm losing my thread there. So yeah, the basic question is: do you see this being the attacking talent that we have to rely on game in and game out?
Well, we have these players at our disposal. Like you said, Odegaard and ESR are very different players. But for me, the change in the game actually happened after Partey came on. It was not ESR, it was actually Partey who made all the difference. If you see the game, it was Arsenal versus Norwich till 61 minutes, and Arsenal versus Norwich from Norwich from 62 to the end. The difference maker was Partey. His presence actually allowed people to push even further forward. It also meant that, Odegaard, though he had to drop deep a lot of times, he also got a little extra freedom because of the assurance that Partey provided, which meant that ESR could push as much forward as he wanted to and do all these things that he does, like the Rasiki game that he does. So for me, the most important player was Partey there. But given that, for your question, if uh, if beating low block teams is the need, at that point I would definitely prefer like an Odegaard over an ESR. What I would ideally like to see is, in situations where we have to play against low block teams, I would like to see them both. I said that I would like to see Odegaard over Party, but over ESR, but it's primarily because of the fact that he has the vision that can break these defenses more than what ESR can do. ESR can take the ball over there, but giving the pass is what Odegaard can do with his eyes closed. So a good situation would be Odegaard playing. An ideal situation would be both of them playing, and us as fans funding probably like billion tons of cotton wool to protect Party throughout the season. Just make sure that he never gets injured so we can play this. But yeah, ideally, I think that's what Arteta wants to do. Have a 4-3-3 where Party can play as well. And with Party, when we are in these situations where we desperately need a goal or we need to keep attacking, Party brings that assurance and calmness. So that's what he wants to do going forward with while playing both Odegaard and ESR. Another thing that I can actually think of is playing ESR on the left, which has already been tried before, and that is another thing that he'll employ a lot. Once we have that, sort of two good players, forward-thinking players playing at the base of midfield, that would give us the opportunity to actually play both Odegaard and ESR in the same team.
Bob,
if you're playing a 4-2-3-1, that is.
So Bob, regarding the attack, though, right? I am actually conflicted in that. I feel that Aubameyang and Pepe are good, but not good enough to finish off chances or to be at the end of the things. Especially, there were a lot of slack being thrown about Pepe's first touch, because there were a couple of instances where his first touch kind of left him. But I feel the problem is that Pepe or Aubameyang gets the ball in the wrong positions during the first 60 minutes. Right, Pepe is not, and I was mentioning this during watching the game too, when I was watching in the bar, that Pepe is getting the ball closer to the half line than towards the box, which I would have preferred him getting the ball in the box so that he could beat a couple of players, which he did in a couple of moments. But most of the times, wherever he is getting the ball is at the midfield, and then he is trying to take on players, 2 players, 3 players at a time. So this conundrum of having 2 low touch players in the team, right? So the 2 low touch players in the team, does that create that low? If we consider the shots during I think for the entire game we had 30 shots, which is probably one of the highest. But in the first half we didn't have anything, 6 shots or something. That's 10 shots, something like that. That's how much we had in the first half. Is this created because of having 2 low touch players, Bob?
See, I think I felt Aubameyang was in the wrong position. He was there at the right time, but then he was actually occupying the wrong positions. Odegaard was often wanting to find Aubameyang there, only for him not to be available on the right spot. And he was often isolated, I felt, despite the fact that we were all attacking and everything. I didn't really feel that there was a coherent. The attacking didn't perform as together as a unit, which is where your observation as well. The fact that Pepe was as well being isolated as that way. one of the observations which I had is the fact that both Odegaard and Pepe were often interchanging with each other, which caused some confusion to the Norwich defense. But again, like Pepe being Pepe, there was a lot of trickery around the box where what he had to do was find someone else better to pass rather than having to try and beat those players by himself. That's when he lost a lot of things. I mean, balls at times, and then, as you said, first touch wasn't so good, like what he should have ideally been doing. So as a result, I think overall, I felt they probably were not 100% connected with the attack. But then I think, given that we have not played together as a unit for long, this would only continue to grow. I'm just hoping that they just gel along together, and then they find the right combinations and passes for them to make it click.
Mm-hmm. How can I not include Arun in a Pepe discussion?
Arun would have started crying straight away. Yeah.
but Arun, so the goal actually, right? It is a very messy goal and all those things, right?
It's a goal.
It's a goal.
A goal.
But my question is that an assist for Pepe?
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Why do you even ask that question? Of course it's assist. What do you guys think? Who gave the assist? Like, is it of course it's an assist. but to be honest, like, he was like equal parts frustrating and fantastic in the game. I think that's what we've learned. Like that's probably what his gaming style is like. It is not his touch was like horrendous at times. The way in which he like missed a couple of chances just because of how heavy his touch was, and like how he was like leaving balls because of his touch was very frustrating to watch. But at the same time, he seems to be the person who has given us six key passes. Like, had one of them gone for a goal, things would have been very different. People would not actually be even like thinking about those lead-footed touches. Just that none of them resulted in a goal. That like the attention is more on that. But having said that, I am really not convinced if Pepe would actually suit the style of football that we want to play going forward, given all that we have. Maybe I would love to get proved wrong as the season progresses with how Tomiyasu and him form a partnership and play together. But he's the kind of person who likes like receiving the ball. Like, if he wants to give an assist, it's like right outside the box. And he's great. If he receives the ball anywhere near the box, you can be assured that it's either going to be like it's going to result in a goal somehow. Like he has that ability. Whether he gives a good cross in or like he is able to hit the ball to the goal, that would work. But for me, like that's the thing. When you want everyone to progress with the ball, build up play, and actually be the ball carriers, which he doesn't like excel at doing. It makes me think if he's actually suited for this kind of football that we play, which also made me wonder if he would be like moved in the summer. That was one of the things. But in this game, yeah, he was like equal parts frustrating and equal parts like fun to watch. And as a Pepe fan, I do believe that like if a partnership with Tomiyasu does work well, maybe he would fit in this team, and that's it.
I have a very controversial opinion there, which is never going to happen, but I would want that to be tried out. That Pepe being one of the twos in front of Partey, instead of Odegaard or ESR, have Pepe there. Instead of being a ball carrier, he would be the one who would be pinging the ball up. But anyways, let's put a lid on that. That's just my hypothetical situation. But Bob, regarding the fans, right? Even after the game, we saw Aubameyang's interview where people were singing his name, and Arteta was asked about it. Fans were very vocal, very supportive. We had our very own Aben at the Emirates too, so it was fun to see his pictures, his view of things instead. So the fans were really brilliant during the game, right?
Oh yeah.
And
I
even
think
after
one thing which the club should be really thankful about at this lowest point that they are at the moment is the fact that the fans are actually backing them, and they're backing them in very high numbers. I mean, in contrast, there were a lot of boos and all those sort of things which were happening at Newcastle. Club having similar sort of owners, or even worse, I would say. But yeah, I mean, the fan backing is very important for us to actually come out, and every player, I mean, who played last night came out to appreciate the fans. There were lots of mentions as well in their social media profiles and their updates, talking about the fans, how important it is for them to support the team. It's been a real blessing, and I just hope that I think the mood in general has changed. You know, fans have not been let into the stadium for more than 18 months, and having given a chance, the only thing that they could all come out into the stadium for is to come and support the team, get behind the team, which is exactly what the fans are doing. You know, can't really think of a better other option. But yeah, I think the fans have been fantastic to say.
I really hope that the fans on social media take a leaf out of the fans at the stadium's behavior and continue to support the team rather than wishing for losses.
Absolutely.
There's a huge disconnect between the fans in the social media and the fans in the stadium. I think that is what is being reflected, and I loved how Aubameyang was. I mean, I want our players to feel that way, right? Like to feel that the fans are liking them,
Loving
they're
them, yeah,
loving them, and to being
that's
part of the
important.
Arsenal family. So, and that is the whole point of the podcast too. Like, that's why we are called the Away Gooners. We want to appreciate more of our team than criticize. Thank you so much, guys, for joining in today. This has been a good game, and for once, it has been a happy ending to a good game. So, thank you. And for the listeners, again, like, share, and subscribe, and comment out what you want us to discuss in the preview pod. So thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.